DJI now released the new DJI Mic 2, and in this video I want to compare this microphone to the previous generation microphone 1. Before we move into talking about updates, I wanted to just discuss some of the similarities with the previous generation. First things first, you get the same transmission distance, which is 250 meters. Both generations of microphones support dual channel recordings, so you can record two voices at the same time simultaneously. If you're conducting an interview or a podcast, I think it's a great feature. And like I said, both microphones support it. Another thing that they both still support is the magnetic attachment that goes on the back of a mic. You just take the magnetic piece and attach it to your shirt or another piece of clothes and then stick the microphone to it and it stays in place. Now let's dive into updates. First and foremost, the new generation microphone has a larger battery. So a previous generation supported up to 15 hours of battery versus the new generation supports up to 18 hours. A welcoming change in my opinion.
So the obvious difference between these two transmitters, the Mic 1 and Mic 2, is the look. The previous generation mic has this matte black look, which I actually prefer, versus the new one where it's translucent and you can see the internals of the transmitter. I'm sure some of you prefer the new look. Personally, I prefer the older look. Another thing, which is a subtlety but much appreciated, is where the lights are located on the new transmitter. Before, if you had the mic attached to your shirt, you would see the lights blinking, which was quite distracting. Now, on the new transmitter, they moved the lights on the sides of the mic, so it's, in my opinion, much better and less distracting. You can still see it from certain angles, but like I said, it's much less distracting now.
Another thing, the new receiver has a bigger OLED display and they have added a thumb wheel, which is super convenient to navigate through the menu. Previous generation, it was a touch screen and it was kind of small and it was not as convenient as the new one to navigate through the menu. So a welcoming change there. The new generation supports 32-bit float. And if you're not familiar with what it is, it's kind of like recording RAW to your camera. It just retains so much information. Your microphone will never peak again. Previous generation, you had to watch your gain to make sure you don't peak. You don't have to worry about that at all anymore. It just makes the process so much more hassle-free. There's a new carrying pouch, which kind of looks like the carrying pouch that you get with your DJI Pocket 3 if you own one. It's pretty cool. I like it. It fits everything, all the cables, the dead cat, and obviously the microphone kit. Another thing that's really cool with the new generation is the gain levels are tailored to your camera now. If you go into settings, you'll see that there are several cameras that DJI has implemented into the system. As far as I know, they will continue adding more cameras. Another really cool feature is Bluetooth connectivity. So if you own Action 4 or an iPhone, you can now connect your transmitter directly to the device via Bluetooth. Now, from my experience, the sound coming out of it is not as good as direct connection through the receiver. Nevertheless, if you're kind of in a pinch and you have to record, that's a great option.
I'm recording on my iPhone 15 Pro Max and I specifically chose loud environment. It's a busy road, so you're probably gonna hear cars in the background. The quality of the microphone is not as good as if it was directly connected to the receiver, but it's usable. Let me know what you think.
Another really cool update or feature is noise canceling. Just by pressing a button on the side of the transmitter, you can shut off all the noise. So if you're recording in a loud environment, such as a restaurant or outside in the street or, I don't know, a convention center, you can just press the button, like I said, and mute the entire noise. What I really appreciate in this new generation is the way you attach this windscreen. Previously, you would have to attach it by kind of screwing it into the transmitter. Now, all you do is just put it into the audio jack that's on the transmitter where you usually attach the lavalier mics. It's a much better solution in my opinion, and it's much quicker. There's a thing going on in this new iteration of the microphone. They just went ahead and polished and improved every aspect of it, and I really like it. One thing you need to be aware about is the fact that if you want to plug in the lavalier into the mic, unlike the new Rode Microphone Pro where a lavalier screws in and secures in the transmitter, this one doesn't do that. So you have to be cautious when you plug in the lavalier into the transmitter because you could accidentally unplug it and now your lavalier is not working. So here's one thing that I really appreciate. The cold shoe is now part of the receiver design. It's part of the housing versus the previous one. It was detachable, and you have to kind of like pry it open a little bit to, you know, attach it to the camera. And I broke this thing a couple of times, so this is a welcoming change. It's definitely a welcome change, and I really like it. In conclusion, if those features are not very important to you, you could potentially save over $100 ordering the previous generation, which, by the way, is still a great microphone and it still sounds amazing. Whichever way you decide to go, you can't mess up here. These are great microphones for content creation.